All right, scholars, let's head into our breakout. Get ready to chat.
All right, scholars. So the purpose of our breakout room today is to quickly talk about our main idea jots for sun and moon, as well as the annotations that we use to create them. So show me a thumbs up if you feel that you have a strong annotation for what the author was mostly teaching us about our topic in this text. Dionisia, I see you have a strong thumb up for annotation. I'm going to unmute you. Go for it. So, what was our author mostly teaching us about our topic in this text?
The author was mostly teaching that the sun and the moon was different, but they're both solar systems.
Okay, so similar and different. They're similar and different. Can we add some detail, please? From another scholar, what is another detail we could add to that annotation to make it a little more specific to what we're reading in the text? All right, Isaiah, I'm going to unmute you. What's another detail we can add? Go ahead.
Another detail that you could add is how the sun is hotter and a lot bigger than the moon.
Okay, thank you. So temperature and size are the key differences between those two celestial bodies.
My annotation was weird.
And so with that annotation in mind, what is this text mostly about? Be sure to include our POV. I see a thumbs up from Muhammad. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
The text is mostly about the differences between the sun and moon and how they're an important source to our environment.
Thank you, Muhammad. So we identified that this text was about similarities and differences between sun and moon, but as we pushed earlier, we need to include details that are specific and accurate to the text. And we spoke about the size differences and the temperature differences. So we would say that the sun, of course, is incredibly hot, whereas the moon is not, and the sun is incredibly large, while the moon is much smaller. So when we include those specific details, we're better prepared to identify what this text is mostly about. And what does our author personally think or feel about this text for POV? Christopher, I see your hand is raised. What did you say for POV? I'm unmuting you now. Go ahead. Chris, you're good.
POV for what?
For sun and moon.
For sun and moon?
Yep. What does our author think and feel?
So the author thinks for the text, the sun and the moon, is that the author thinks that the sun and the moon are different in many ways because he gives us differences between them, like how the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon and how the moon rotates around the earth.
Thank you, Christopher. I'm putting you back on mute. So our author clearly, through the key details that they've chosen to include, personally feels, Ryan, I need to see your face, that they are very different. Okay, nice job. What I'm going to have us do now is quickly flip over. We're going to quickly talk about our main idea jots. Excuse me, our annotations and our main idea jots for can't. So show me that you're flipping and folding so that we have can't in front of us in 3, flipping and folding, 2, 1, and 0. Beautiful. I see those exaggerated flips, so I know that we're all together. Obviously, this is a poem. We're not going to discuss how we know, although we quickly see there are verses and stanzas. Now I'm going to, for the sake of time, because we're about to be pulled out, I'm simply going to say that this text is the deeper meaning of this text is do not let negative thoughts hold you back from achieving your goals and dreams. And our author literally discusses how the word can't can do such things as weaken your effort, mock your hopes and dreams, crush your ambition, and that it takes courage, patience, and skill to defeat it. Okay. So we're just waiting for everyone to get back from the breakout room. What I want you to do now, so that we're ready to hit the ground running, is make sure that you have the short response for the sun and moon in front of you. So if you're not there, flip and fold, so the short response for sun and moon is in front of you now.
All right, scholars, we should all be back in this main session now that we've had our opportunity to review our main idea jots for both the sun and the moon and can't. What I need right now is for every scholar to just flip to the sun and the moon text and put their hands on their head. Who's going to be the fastest this time? Let me see. Oh, it might have been Muhammad, might have been Ryan. Who's my speediest? Who's my last one? Because I'm seeing some scholars that are not there with their hands on their head. All right, good. Back down in scholar, ready to get going. So we talked about our main idea of the sun and the moon, where it's talking about how the sun and the moon are similar because they have similar appearances, but that the sun and the moon are different in many ways. So when I get to my short response, we can all flip to our short response. It says, how does the author organize the information in the text? Now, this is a text structure question. And I know that my text structures, I could be talking about chronological order, cause and effect, description, or compare contrast, many different ones. For this text, just like we talked about the week before we left, because it's talking about similarities and differences, this text is organized in compare contrast. So I'm going to show you my document camera. Give me a thumbs up if you see my video big. Great. On my document camera, it says, how does the author organize information in the text? You're going to follow along and write with me. First, I flip the question. The author organizes information in this text in chronological order. Sorry, in compare and contrast. Period. Hands on your head when you have it written. I want to see who's the fastest this time. Muhammad's really good at doing this fast. Gabriel's really good at doing this fast. All right. Now it's our job to find two pieces of evidence. I'm going to bring it back to me for a second. When we're finding two pieces of evidence for compare and contrast, we need to have a piece of evidence for compare and a piece of evidence for contrast. We can't just have two pieces of evidence for one of those ideas. Right now, you're going to take 30 seconds. I want you to underline one compare detail and one contrast detail to label in your text. Go ahead and do that now. I see Viviana got started right away. Her pencil was on paper. Andrea started right away. See, Isaiah is done because his hands are on his head. Lots of done, scholars. 10 seconds. Samuel's there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I'm going to bring it back to my paper. When I went back to my text, there's really only one sentence that is for compare. The first sentence, the sun and the moon are two objects in our solar system that appear similar when we see them in the sky. That is the only sentence that works for compare. So I'm going to say D1 for detail 1 and circle it there. There are many options we could have picked for contrast. You can be writing and underlining as I go. You could have picked this one or a different one. I chose the sun is approximately 400 times the size of the moon. Show me a thumbs up if that's the same detail that you chose. Oh, I see Yax chose that detail. Gabriel chose that detail. Awesome. Now, when we go back into breakout rooms, you're going to be doing the text can't, which means that first we need to tackle this same one. So let's go back and get our detail 1. I'm flipping back here. I'm saying the text says, and I need to flip back to my first page. The sun and the moon are two objects in the solar system. You're writing with me. That appears similar. Ten seconds to finish writing that quote, and then we're going to talk about it and get our justification going because we've been struggling a little bit with our justification sentences. When I justify, hands on heads, 3, 2, 1. So I know you're following along with me. 0. Good. Checking that everybody has their hands on their heads. Good. Now we can get back in Scholar. When we justify, I need to connect it back to my claim. I can't just say, this tells me the sun and the moon are two objects that appear similar. That doesn't make sense. That's telling me exactly what the quote said. I need to connect it. So I would say this tells me the author is using comparison to talk about how the sun and the moon look. Finishing writing this sentence. Even if you don't have the material, you should still be writing on blank paper this justification. I see Gabriel is there. I see Jaden is there. Samuel and Sebastian, I should be able to see you. All right, everybody, even if you're not there, hands on heads in 3, 2, 1, 0. Every scholar should have both hands on their head. Let me see. Great. I'm going to bring it back to me. Okay. If I were to continue this short response, I would use my next piece of textual evidence. And then I would say, this shows me the author is using contrasting to discuss the size of the sun and the moon. I wouldn't just say, this tells me the sun is bigger than the moon. That's not connected to my claim. I always need to connect my justification using my evidence connecting to my claim. Justification always connects our evidence to our claim. Okay. We are going to break into our breakout rooms to re-go over that text can't. Now, you should have had the annotations and the main idea drop for can't last night for part of your homework. If you didn't have that, that's going to be the first thing that you need to do when you get into this breakout room. Once we are there, we're doing this again because we noticed that in this short response, a lot of scholars struggled to get the full phrase in their definition. It says foe to ambition. Some scholars either just described what a foe was or just described what ambition was. When we're talking about an entire phrase, you need to have all of those words and what they mean. We're going to go into our breakout rooms for about 13 minutes so that you can really dive into getting this short response and that multiple choice strongly. Your teacher is going to help you with making sure you find the best evidence to support your answers, and you use that justification to connect your evidence to your claim. We're going to head into breakout rooms now for 13 minutes.
All right, scholars. So first things first, we've already been through our main ideas and our annotations for Kant, but really quickly, I just want to restate those main ideas so that we can hit the ground running with our independent practice. We spoke about how the speaker tells us that the word can't can kill our life's purpose, weaken our effort, mock our hopes and dreams, and crush our ambitions, and that it takes courage, patience, and skill to defeat it. The deeper meaning being, do not let negative thoughts hold you back from achieving your goals and dreams. Thank you for making sure that we got those annotations and main idea jots done for homework. What I want us to do now is flip and fold so that we have questions 1 and 2 in front of us. We're flipping and folding. Ryan, hold off on that. Let's put our hands on our heads just so I know that we're all at the same place ready to start once you have those questions in front of you. Thank you, Dionysia. Thank you, Zoe. Quickly scanning, waiting on Chris. Let's get there. Chris, almost there. Good to go. Questions 1 and 2 in front of us. Perfect. Pencils in hand, 100% writers. I'm going to call us back in 5 minutes so that we can focus on question 2 and our evidence selection. So for now, we're diving into question number 1. When we hold up our work, we're going to make sure that we have our draft ideas and we have our evidence underlined for question number 1. And then we'll work together to identify best evidence for question number 2. Mia, if you have any questions about what we should have in front of us, please chat me privately. Christopher, what I'd like you to do is privately chat me what you have for your short response. I see that you've worked ahead. We should not be working ahead. Your only instructions for homework were to complete the annotations and main idea jots for Kant. So what you can do at this time to make sure that we're focused and occupied and I can provide you feedback is please chat me what you have for your short response. Zoe, I need to see your eyes on packet so that I know you're focused and you're working urgently. Thank you, Ryan, for being flexible with materials and using a blank paper. Mohammed, to answer your question, we're completing question 1 with evidence underlined and draft ideas, of course, and then moving on to question 2. I'm going to bring us back to discuss evidence selection for question number 2. For now, we're continuing to work. And Mia, if you have any confusions or questions about what we should have in front of us, please privately chat me so that I can answer your question. I see great focus from Sen Lee. I see you again from Dionysia. Sam, I should see your pencil moving as we're working urgently to complete question 1. CJ, I should see from your posture that you're focused and you're continuing to work on questions 1 and 2. We're going to have 1 more minute for question 1, and then I'm going to bring us back so we can talk about our evidence selection and draft ideas. Give me a thumbs up when question 1 is complete. Okay. Great, I'm seeing thumbs up from all of us. Okay, we're gonna stop right there. So pencils are down. Your eyes are on the screen, so I know that you're back with us. Isaiah, waiting on you. Let's get there. Pencils are down, eyes on screen in 3, 2, Isaiah 1, and 0. Good. We're no longer writing. We're ready for question number 1. Question number 1 says, read this sentence from the poem. Cant is the father of feeble endeavor, the parent of terror and half-hearted work. It weakens the efforts of artisans clever and makes of the oiler an indolent shirk. What is the meaning of endeavor as it is used in the first line above? And so this is a question that's prompting us to use our context clues to identify the meaning of a possibly unfamiliar word. What's the unfamiliar word that we're identifying the meaning for in this question? Give me a hand. Mohammed, you're unmuted. What's the word we're looking for? Endeavor, exactly. And so it's our job to identify context clues, any words or phrases that can help us understand the meaning of endeavor. And so what I want us to do, holding up our work to the camera, I want to see what evidence we underlined to identify a possible meaning for endeavor. Holding up our work, I should see evidence underlined. Isaiah, what I'm seeing from you is your short response. That's not what I asked for. I asked for your evidence underlined in the text. Okay, I'm seeing it from Mohammed. Zoe, I'm waiting on you. I'm not seeing any evidence underlined. Ryan, I know that you're doing the best you can with the materials that you've been given. Chris, I'm waiting on your evidence underlined. Sam. Okay, we're right back. We can put our packets back down. Give me a thumbs up if you feel that you have a context clue that helps us to understand the word endeavor. Okay, Dionysi, I see your thumbs up immediately. You're unmuted. What's a possible word or phrase we could use to identify endeavor?
I said it's in paragraph 10.
Stanza?
It says, stanza 10.
Or, sorry,
It
verse.
weakens the verse 10. It weakens the efforts of assistance collaborators.
Okay, so I'm gonna pinpoint one specific word there. That's a really strong context clue. The word is effort. Okay, the word effort in that verse is a strong context clue that helps us to understand the word endeavor. Give me thumbs up for one more context clue that helps us to understand the word endeavor. CJ, you're unmuted. What's another word?
Another word is feeble.
Well, I noticed that feeble comes right beside endeavor. And so even if I don't understand the meaning of feeble, it's probably an adjective or a descriptive word to describe endeavor. I'm not going to choose that as my context clue. Another context clue we could use to help us understand endeavor might be the phrase half-hearted work. So we found effort as a possible context clue, and I see a connection to work. And so I'm thinking that effort and work might be related to endeavor. So what's a draft idea we could create to help us with our answer choices? Zoe, what's a draft idea? Go ahead. You're unmuted.
Idea would be effort.
Effort or work, right? We just take those two context clues, we put them together, and we're ready to make some connections to our answer choices. We're going to actually use our hands to clap it out, parallel lines, showing me excellent. Chris, I need to see you upright. I need to see your hands. Good, we're ready to clap it out. A child. B, weakness. C, fear. D, effort. Okay, I'm seeing immediate claps for D. Notice how we thought carefully about the words and phrases around endeavor as context clues that help us to identify a possible meaning. We use those context clues to create a draft idea, and we make connections to our answer choices. So with that being said, we're ready for question number 2. Read the following lines from the poem. Cant is the word that is foe to ambition. An enemy ambushed to shatter your will. Its prey is forever the man with a mission, and bows but to courage and patience and skill. As Miss Kilduff pointed out, when identifying the meaning of foe to ambition, we need to make sure that we're discussing the full phrase. Some of us might be tempted just to use context clues to identify the meaning of foe or ambition, but in this case, it's the full phrase, foe to ambition. So just like we did in question 1, we're looking for words and phrases that help us to understand the meaning of foe to ambition around that phrase. And so let's see here. I'm going to bring us back to the text, and I'm going to put us on share screen so that we can all see my work. Let me see. There we go. And so we should now all see my text in front of us. Give me a thumbs up to make so that I can make sure that we all see. Good. And so my first task is to identify the phrase foe to ambition. Okay. I see foe to ambition. Sorry. That is in verse 25, down near the bottom. My first task is to, first of all, circle the phrase that we're identifying the meaning for. I know that words before, within that verse, or after that verse are going to help me understand that phrase. Okay. And so I notice that immediately after the phrase foe to ambition is the word enemy. That could be helpful. Based on my prior knowledge, I'm confident that a foe might be somehow related to one's enemy. Now it's about finding possible context clues for ambition. So I noticed that in that same line or same verse, there's the idea of shattering your will. A will is kind of like your desire to accomplish something. And I also noticed the phrase mission, man with a mission. So based on those context clues, and we're going to label that question number 2, I'm confident that, sorry, we're about to close out, but I'm confident that a foe to ambition is somehow an enemy to your achievement, an enemy to your desire to accomplish something. Notice how I carefully identified the phrase, I underlined the context clues, I labeled them question number 2, and I would then draft my topic sentence. We're going to get back to our regular group now.
All right, scholars, give me a thumbs up if you see me big. Great. Okay. So we just had a really good discussion about our claim for foe to ambition. I want one scholar to be able to give me the claim for what the definition of foe to ambition is that includes both parts. Both parts. Let's see. Kayla, I'm going to go to you. Go ahead, Kayla.
I think that a foe to ambition is an enemy that has a desire to finish something that you want to accomplish.
Yeah. It's like an enemy that wants to stop something that you want to accomplish. Wants to stop you from achieving your goals. Okay. Tonight, for your TA homework, we will all resend this out in your Jupiter messages home with your homework. However, I want you to keep track of it tonight. You are not doing the homework that is in the homework packet. Instead, you are going to be reading and annotating the next 2 texts. You're going to be reading and annotating the Dust Bowl Migration and From Dust Bowl Diary, the 2 next texts in the class packet. Tonight, you're going to be annotating the 2 next texts in the class packet. If you did it in your homework packet already, that's okay. Just try to transfer those notes into the class packet for tomorrow. We are going to get ready to go off to lunch. You're going to have from 10:50 to 11:50. At 11:50, we are back here for enrichment. Before you leave, I want to be very clear. During enrichment, you have the same expectations as during TA, as during math, as during any class with your classroom teachers. I heard a lot from our